Good morning. My name is Reid. I'm a district resource teacher for career education with the Vancouver School Board. I work with the career programs team to support students in dual credit programs in skilled trades and technology. I also want to start today by acknowledging the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples on whose traditional and unceded territory I have the opportunity to live, learn, work, and play. Today we're going to talk about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, the purpose of getting together for these chats is to think about issues that we should be talking about. I would challenge us to go one step further. This is an issue that we should be acting on. This is an issue we should be challenging ourselves to pursue right away. The Sustainable Development Goals were established in 2015, and we have until 2030 to achieve those targets. So we're approaching the halfway point. For any of you who have been familiar with the SDGs, you may know that behind each goal, there is a series of indicators or targets broken down into tangible language that we can start to act on. We can start to digest and implement where we are. Of course, many of us will be familiar with the phrase, think globally, act locally. And that's what I'm challenging us all to do right now today. Of the 17 goals, there are a few that stand out as perhaps being especially relevant to us. SDG number 4, quality education, is probably the one that most of us would notice if we looked at the list. It's probably the one that we would use as a starting point. I think that's a fantastic thing to do. For us working in education, it's often easiest to look through that goal as a lens to see and understand the other 16 goals. There really are plenty of options and opportunities for us to make the SDGs content accessible, relevant, and connected to how we live and learn and work and play in our communities. When we're working with a student, with a school, with a project, an initiative, or an organization, we're looking at partnerships and collaborations. Imagine if we were to examine the 17 goals and overlay them on the process of support, of development, of collaboration and connection. We might find ourselves seeing additional advantages or opportunities within the work that we're already doing. I don't think that the SDGs implementation or action approach requires us to entirely change how we do what we do, but instead to maybe change how we think about it, how we approach it, and how we can just add a little bit of value and opportunity in the things that we're doing, in those collaborations and partnerships we already have. The way that I like to look at the goals and organizing them so that I can really understand them and think more clearly about what my perhaps trajectory or orientation will be towards a project. So I like to gather them together into categories like the social goals, the economic goals, or the ecological goals. Of course, for us working in education, we will find ourselves most often looking at social goals or economic goals, but there really are opportunities for us to be connecting education to the ecological work that spread throughout these 17 goals. Of course, some of the social goals might have a direct link to something that's more environmental or more economic, or maybe there's something from all three categories that we're bundling together when we're putting together plans for the work that we're going to do. I would challenge all of us to look at some of our existing work, to look at the 17 goals and connect the dots to show where we're already doing the right kind of thing. We're already working in the right kind of ways. Perhaps if we look at that kind of exercise, we might identify some other goals we could incorporate with just a little bit more work, a really powerful value add for just a little bit of additional effort or a little bit of change in the scope of our work. For those of you who haven't connected much with the SDGs before and you're looking for ways to understand them, ways to really get started, I'm reminded of an organization of teachers from around the world who are making a connection and a commitment to the SDGs. If you visit TeachSDGs.org, you'll find a collection of resources and information, ideas, and collaborations that connect the SDGs to what we are doing in education around the world. I'm especially happy to know about that organization, and I want to share with you how I came to know this connection and network of teachers from around the world. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to be at the Global Education and Skills Forum in Dubai, which is why I've selected this mug for this morning. And at that particular event, I found myself engaged in a conversation with teachers from around the world, teachers from a variety of subject areas, and we were all recognizing that we had an interest in making a connection, but we weren't always really sure where to start. A couple of people in that group referenced the TeachSDGs network and explained it as a constellation of teachers around the world, of different age levels, of different subject areas, doing different types of work. In the work that I do now, I'm not working in a classroom. I'm working with individual students and connecting them with post-secondary opportunities. And I still, in that role, I can connect back to that network. That's why I like that term constellation. We think maybe more about it in 3D. We see how all of these people from all these different points all around us are still interconnected to this content and through this content of the SDGs. What I would suggest anyone does to get started and to get thinking a little bit more, as I mentioned earlier, taking an example and looking at how you're already working with some of the goals, it's also maybe wise to establish for yourself a certain consciousness, laying out, over this month or over the next few weeks, we're going to tackle one particular goal. We're going to look at how we can reorient or reorganize the work that we're doing to better champion that goal, to take it in a further direction towards achieving that goal, achieving that target. Perhaps it's even worth printing out just the image of the 17 goals to put up at your desk, to put up in your office, to show yourself and to show others that this is going to be a priority in your work. Imagine for yourselves if in every meeting, in every conversation, in every proposal, in every plan that we make for the work we're going to do, there has to be an explicit presence of the SDGs. Imagine what that can do to raise consciousness for ourselves, but to raise more systemic consciousness about what the SDGs are trying to achieve. It has really reshaped how I look at the work that I do. And it has, most importantly, reminded me of the value to connect globally. As I work with colleagues in the Philippines, in Thailand, in Vietnam, and we look at ways to collaborate and share ideas, we are challenged, we are called to action by the SDGs. And that's the bedrock of the work that we're doing together. It really helps to frame everything. Ultimately, none of us have anything to lose by connecting our work to the SDGs. And so I would challenge everybody today to look at goal number 17, partnerships for the goals, and use that as your organization's call to action to see what partnerships you can establish or strengthen by connecting them with the Sustainable Development Goals. It's been great to chat today. I really want to thank the BC Council for International Education for inviting me to share this time with you. I hope everyone has a great day. Enjoy whatever's in your cup.